Greetings everyone, my name is Alban Nako and I'm a PhD student at Epoca University. Today I'll be presenting my paper on political boycott in Albania for the period 1991-2019. This paper presentation outline is divided in 5 mini parts. I'll start with the introduction on the meaning of boycott and what are the reasons of this phenomena. Secondly, I'll continue with the data used and the methodology. Thirdly, I'll present some results, and on the fourth part, I'll show some conclusions. And in the last part, in the fifth one, the floor will be open for you guys for questions and answers. I want to start the presentation by sharing a legend in Albania. It is called the legend of the Castle of Rzafa, where the legend goes like this. Three brothers were building a castle. What they built by day was destroyed by night. They asked wisdom from a foreign old man, who told them that a sacrifice was needed. Whoever wife will bring food the next day will be sacrificed. The older brothers told their wife, while the youngest didn't. The next day, the youngest brother's wife brought food and was sacrificed to build the castle. This legend is transformed by the philosopher Artan Fuga and renamed with and labeled complex of Rzafa. It means that somehow we Albanians lack the capability to build something that is sustainable without the help of some old wisdom foreigner. And in order to do so, we must sacrifice something. But in order to achieve that sacrifice, somehow we tend to boycott each other in order to achieve what we want in a way or another. In this paper, I'll try to answer three main questions. First of all, why do political parties engage in the political boycott? Secondly, what is the effect of boycott in the democratization process? More specifically, on the efficiency of the parliament as the main institution of democracy. And thirdly, is boycott necessary as a political tool? As you see in the picture, this is one of many cases where one of the member of the parliament tries to hamper the speech delivery of the prime minister by throwing at him liquids, foods, hard objects, just to make a point and to gain some attention and to boycott the process of, let's say, usual democracy and trust building and efficiency. From the first time that Albania engaged in pluralism in 1990, the new emerging opposition threatened not to participate in the election because they claimed that they don't have enough time to be prepared. In this condition, the old communist regime agreed and postponed the election later on 6 months later on in 6 months, and that was the first recorded threat for boycott in Albania. And many sequential threats of boycott and boycotts have happened. I have observed that the reason of boycott, in a way, relies on the legitimacy of the incumbent uh, that aligns with the agreement with the opposition, which means that the incumbent cannot suffice their, let's say, their power without the loser consent. And on the other side, the opposition, those who are in minority in the parliament, they do not tend to attack directly the majority, but they tend to reach out to the international community in order to gain their trust so they can come in power. And the core element that boycott tries to achieve is the shift of trust from the international community on specific political parties in Albania. I have observed that during the years, different boycott tactics have been used. such as boycotting by not attending parliamentary sessions, boycotting with attendance in the parliament but without engaging the voting process, although and members of the parliament have right to vote pro, against, or to absent, boycotting parliamentary working groups for legislation preparation, boycotting by disagreeing with the resolution for EU progress report, and usually the opposition requests not to open negotiation talks. Boycotting by stealing the electronic cards to block the majority to vote in the parliament, or by standing near close other MPs to hamper the delivery of speeches, or by throwing liquids or hard objects against other MPs. Boycotting due to physical harm, assassination, or hate language, boycotting with hunger strike inside the parliament, or boycotting by organizing massive rallies outside parliament, prime minister office, or by blocking integral streets in Albania. I have categorized all these boycott tactics in 4 categories, and each of many boycotts that have happened in Albania can be put in one of these 4 categories. First, and mainly, the boycott happens as a contested electoral process with a claim that electoral fraud has been made. Therefore, the legitimacy of the majority is weak. The second category relies on the opposition is ignored by the majority, and the main reason for that is that the parliament has transformed in a way as a mere extension of the executive branch. So the balance of power between members of the parliament and the branch of executive is very fragile. So the opposition cannot really express their opinions and conclusions and remarks about any political changes that happened during one or the other rule. Thirdly, grave incidents outside the parliament, and the cases when this situation happens have been due to assassination of member of parliament, as in the case of 1997 against one of the famous leader of the opposition, Azem Aidari, or due to big scandals or corruptions that engage in a popular support that propels in a way boycotting. And the fourth, but not the least, is that the opposition boycotts to block important political decision. And this category of boycott usually happens during the accession talks for EU integration, at the time when we were adhering to NATO, or when we opened talks for the Schengen area. To theorize what boycott is a bit tricky, but I have prepared a table number 1, in order to let's say divide the usual term of boycott that is used in business as a need for changing a specific behavior that imposes a majority toward a minority in order to correct that specific behavior. While when in the term of the political boycott, I have observed that it is the minority who actively engages toward the majority, and in this sense, the reason of boycott is not changing a specific behavior in the majority. Rather, the reason of boycott is to disenfranchise the source of their power, and the main reason for doing so is to gain power for themselves. For this paper, I'll be relying on mixed method research, specifically the mixed method sequential explanatory approach based on the work of Hees Bieber, where after the collection of available quantitative data, I will combine data and will explain in-depth qualitative approach and analyze the factors that fuel boycott and its effect on parliament efficiency and political elite engagement. I believe that a data-driven evaluation is intrinsic to evaluate political boycott in Albania. In order to analyze the parliament efficiency, I have relied on 3,643 official gazettes for the period of 1990 till 2019. Specifically, I have collected, analyzed, and calculated all legal documents enacted by the Albanian parliament for this period, like laws, decisions, resolution, declaration. After collecting data for each calendar year, we have structured the data accordingly for each legislation. Furthermore, for laws in legislation cycles, we have subcategorized them accordingly as ratification of international documents, amendment of old laws, new laws, or approvals of normative acts. Accordingly, for each legislation, the collected public transcript of speeches, we have collected the public transcript of speeches to determine the number of parliamentary sessions held and if in that session a decision was made. In order to analyze the elite performance, we have obtained from the Parliament, the Central Election Commission, all the names of the persons that have earned a seat on the Parliament, either by direct election or as a substitution. After organizing all the members on the Parliament for the period 1990-2019, we have categorized them accordingly to their number of mandates. Furthermore, we have investigated for the top 50% if they are politically active, and if not, what was the reason for ending their political career. For the first question, why do political parties boycott? I have relied on the work of Horowitz and Reiter, and we have investigated through decision theory the way of political thinking prefers boycott as an effective alternative. We conclude that the opportunist way of thinking justifies boycott from four schools of thought as the best value of action, because an opportunist thinks, currently I'm not in power, so if I don't boycott, I will remain in my position. If I boycott and fail, I will be the same while I engage in boycott there. While I engage in boycott, there is a possibility to gain something. Therefore, it's a win-win situation. The opportunistic thought is observable by the fact that there is a government change, that when there is a government change, there is a tendency to deny any prior progress and to start everything from scratch, probably best described as the syndrome of year zero. To analyze or to answer the question, what is the effect of the boycott of the parliament? As you can see in the table, we have divided the productivity, let's say, of the parliament on enacting laws, decisions, declarations, resolutions, and so on. And we have concluded that in 29 years of existence, the Albanian parliament has enacted 4,067 laws in total. The distinctive feature of lawmaking process is in the most cases, these laws are unilateral, conceptualized, created, changed, and voted. The legal gap created due to not regulated aspect of life or due to frequent changes has created a situation of uncertainty among citizens that has produced great conflict among them for issues as land distribution, trade, and taxation. The efficiency of the parliament is seriously damaged by political boycott due to its low performance and constant changes of prior laws. The parliament has lost its functionality as an independent branch because it's just a mere extension of the executive branch. 95% of all laws enacted by the parliament are proposed by the government, which can explain the constant change on the total control of the party leader, who is at the same time the prime minister. No check and balance system between executive and legislative makes the opposition feel threatened to the core, because there is no mechanism of implementing and discussing ideas and engaging in democratic process of cooperation among parties. Although a strong party leader with control over parliament and government is easily evident in all institutional changes that have happened, not only to tackle this issue, but they strengthen the role of the party leader, but even by deforming the political. To answer the question, what is the effect of boycott on political elite, we have investigated the total number of MPs in the parliament for the last 29 years, and we have concluded that 963 individuals have earned a seat in the Albanian parliament. By investigating let's say, the politician with 3 or more mandates, uh, who are not anymore politically active, we have found that in 80% of cases they were banned from the party, and the remaining cases constituted natural deaths or assassinations or retirement due to old age. As observed in the table, the MPs with 1 mandate are more vulnerable to obtain re-election due to unfavored placement in the list or electoral zones, while the top 50% of MPs during the years have benefited from special treatments of special electoral zone or list placements. Boycott as a mechanism plays a huge role in consolidating the power of the leader and shaping the political thought of the party by purging alternative ideas. In the end, some conclusions. This study provides, I think, that considerable insight into political boycott and its effect on society. As expected, boycott erodes the fundamentals of democracy. Therefore, it is not a democratic mechanism per se, rather is an institution of authoritarianism that relies on the political ideology that might is right. As a violent mechanism, political boycott sustains and controls the political status quo and hampers societal development. These results offer unprecedented and crucial evidence on the damage that political boycott has on the efficiency of the parliament and stability of laws enacted, as well on the life of political elites with liberal or moderate ideas. Our findings appear to support that constant reproduction of crises erodes trust on democratic measures for political participation. Therefore, citizens do not engage in political life. Although we can agree on the political polarization in Albania, there is no evidence of political radicalization. Further data analysis, I think, is required to understand among the total number of laws enacted, how many of them are still in power today, and what is the ratio of changes that each majority has done on prior laws enacted by a different majority. We believe that further analysis will be necessary to understand the impact of the political boycott on clientelism, electoral manipulation, and political behavior. So this is the end for me. Thank you for your time. If you have any question, I'll be happy to respond to you. Thank you again.